This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. It is not intended to cause or induce breach of an existing agency agreement.
This is the YYJ Real Estate Podcast. Hello and welcome to the YYJ Real Estate Podcast, where we discuss everything Victoria real estate. I'm Adrian Maclaren. I'm joined by
Vincent Baart
and Jocelyn Cseff.
And we are the City Nest team. We are real estate agents at Remax Camosun in Greater Victoria. Guys, how's your guys' week, days,
month?
What's going on?
They're just blurring together.
Yeah.
It's been a good year. Yeah. See you next year.
See you next year.
We're in the thick of the market. It's the fall market, and I really feel that it's not slowing down yet.
Not right now. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. When do you think that it will?
I usually tell people I usually say Halloween is when things start to drop, because if you're listing after Halloween, then you're not closing until around Christmas, New Year's, and a lot of people that's not attractive for them.
Yeah.
But the big difference this year that's happening, we'll get into this in the show, but interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
There's some foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yes. I personally actually just got back from Montreal. Went to a beautiful wedding. Congrats to Annie and Felix.
So many weddings.
Yeah, so many weddings this summer. Also went to a Montreal Canadiens game. That was amazing. I've always wanted to go to a game at that arena, and the atmosphere and the kind of the history there definitely add another level above like a Canucks game, for example. Very, very cool.
What's the difference for the uninitiated?
Well, they for example, during the intro of the game, all of the lights are dimmed, the lights are crazy, that the music is building, and they're introducing the starting lineup of the players, and everyone in the arena knows exactly what the announcer is going to be saying. So they're like, and at center, and then the whole arena chants the name of the player.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And everybody, everyone around me knows all the players' names. They know exactly what is happening, and they're all chanting it along with the jumbo, the announcer, and the music builds, and the national anthem is crazy, and everyone's cheering, and just the entire arena up to the roof of the building is jam packed. There's not a seat empty, and it's game 3 of the NHL season. Does not matter, but but it is packed in there, and the energy is high. And I guess that's what happens when you've been a team since the early 1900s, right? Or 1800s. I can't remember exactly when they started, but they've been around a long, long time, and they have that fan base that just kind of adds that next level of vibe, pressure, all that stuff. But yeah, that was awesome. But yeah, speaking on the market, Vince and Jocelyn, I've kind of felt the same thing. Lots of new clients reaching out, multiple offers on some attractive properties, and it's kind of weird. I kind of felt that same thing where things might be starting to slow down, and I haven't felt that yet either. So yeah,
We will see.
Yeah.
Vince is going away for December, so it's going to be the busiest Christmas we've ever had.
That's right. That's right. And Jocelyn, speaking of some multiple offers or something selling quickly, you recently sold a house really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I mean, I listed a house with a suite in Victoria for under $800,000, which was a little crazy. My phone was ringing a lot. So it sold. I mean, we had an accepted offer within 24 hours on market. So
wow.
It was very, very quick. They just removed subjects. Everything's good. And that was awesome. But it just goes to show you that, if stuff is really well priced right now, I think it will sell. It did go for over asking. We did have multiple offer, but
yeah. Can you, and if I remember correctly, there was a house really, really close by that was pretty good comparable, and I feel like it was also priced relatively similarly.
Yeah.
What was the what do you think the difference is? Why did you sell, and why is that house sitting on the market?
I mean, without giving away all my secrets, they did price it quite a bit higher when they first came on the market. So
it has that stigma. Why is it sitting?
Yeah, I mean, we see that with homes. It is really important to get the pricing right the first time, which can always. Not always, but can sometimes be a challenge. And I think, they just didn't get the amount of buyer traffic that we had. And I don't know. that's all I can say about that without giving away my secret sauce.
Well, basically, if you want to sell a house in 24 hours, reach out to Jocelyn Cseff is what I'm hearing.
We'll get you.
Okay. So kind of getting into the summary of the podcast today, we have mortgage rate cuts and its effects on the market right now. We have a little tidbit of info on condo insurance. We have a neighborhood highlight that Jocelyn's going to be touching on, and some new developments in Victoria, and then a little market update with Vince.
Just a little one.
So kind of getting into mortgage rate cuts, that's the big kind of headline news right now. On October 23rd, the Bank of Canada cut the overnight lending rate by 0.5, and that brought the prime lending rate down from 6.45% to 5.95%. And so clients with a variable rate mortgage are going to see a direct half
immediately.
Yeah. And I had people reach out to me like, oh my God, like my mortgage is at 4.8% now. This is amazing. Because they have prime -1 or whatever it is locked in. So the difference here that people might get confused is, hey, like I have a pre-approval with my mortgage broker and my fixed rate hasn't changed. And so fixed rate mortgage pre-approval amounts remain unaffected by that. Basically the fixed rate mortgages are kind of priced in. They kind of predict what's happening into the future. So they've already, factored in that they're going to be doing this rate hold. They're going to maybe do another one in December. And so, fixed rates don't change unless, the forecast changes. So pre-approval clients have been offered, fixed rate options that generally results in larger mortgage amounts as well. So, if you're getting a fixed mortgage being in the low 4s, I think roughly is what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah,
that is still the biggest amount of mortgage you're going to be able to get, because prime, you're maybe looking at prime minus up some sort of 0.% or maybe around 1%, which is still going to put you at, what would that be, 4.95 or just below 5%.
Yeah.
So still the biggest amount of mortgage you're going to be able to get, and for a pre-approval amount is still going to be with like a 5-year fixed, most likely. And so with this news, there's been an increase in variable rate mortgage approvals. Lots of people choosing to go variable. Obviously with mortgage rates trending down, people want to ride that wave and they don't want to lock in at potentially a higher 4% when maybe rates dip into the 3s in the next year and a half. And so locking in for 5 years at a higher percent might not be the best idea, but again, that's kind of the mortgage broker's job to kind of, navigate that with you and give you a better idea. But with variable rate mortgages on $1 million property, we're looking at about a 6% increase on pre-approval amounts. So that's $60,000 more buying power with a 0.5% drop, which is not nothing. Yeah,
it's something.
With predictions kind of coming up, economists and markets are predicting a 94% chance of a further 0.25% rate cut in the December meeting. And there's a projected total of 1.25% additional decreases by the end of 2025.
Oh, I love that they're giving it odds.
Yeah.
So those percentages, it reminds me of the U.S. election where they've got like betting platforms now.
Yeah. They literally put out percentages and it's pretty funny. And obviously these percentages changes as, more information comes out and we get closer to the date. And I think even for this one, they were predicting 0.25 and that was in the high 70s, 80%. And then we got closer and closer.
I was predicting 0.5 all along.
Well,
I just want...
Vince, I don't know if you remember.
Didn't we bet a lunch on this?
We did bet a lunch.
And who won?
You won.
Thank you. Glad you brought it up.
So if anyone remembers, I can't remember if it was like 2 or 3 podcasts ago, me and Vince made a bet. I bet 0.25. He bet 0.5. Anyway, Vince won. I owe him lunch. And you're not the only person I bet. I bet somebody else.
Oh, man.
And so that's 2. I'm down 2 lunches.
But you could have been up 2 lunches.
I could have been up,
true.
but
that is how gambling works.
That is how gambling works. So anyway, looking forward to those lunches. It's going to be great.
McDonald's.
I
didn't specify. Hey,
yeah, you did it. Yeah.
Shawarma. We should have that shawarma that we had.
We should. That was
so good.
So upcoming market changes as well. And we talked about this on the last market update kind of podcast. New mortgage rules that we talked about on our last podcast that are coming up in mid-December are expecting to stimulate the housing market as well. So if you have questions about these changes, don't hesitate to reach out or listen to that podcast. And basically that plus all these rate decreases is kind of like stimulating potentially more buying power for buyers in Canada. So there's also some strong indicators in the U.S. economy that might influence the Bank of Canada to avoid another 0.5 rate cut in the next meeting, but we will see. So that kind of wraps up our mortgage talk for the podcast, and just,
no more mortgages.
No more mortgages. I just want to quickly touch on condo insurance, and normally, obviously with condos, insurance is handled through the building, and that handles the building's insurance, structural, all that.
Not contents though.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll get
I was
there.
getting to that, Vince. Come on. And honestly, it was thought to be not that important because obviously your building is insured. Why do I need to insure my microwave? And that's how some people think. But condo insurance covers your personal property inside your condo unit, additional living expenses in case you were displaced, personal liability, upgrade improvements or a prior owner that you are a prior owner have made, loss assessments of damage created by your condo board association. So there's quite a few things in there that actually, in case there's anything that goes on,
it is so important.
Very, very important, right? And prime example is, I think I have a friend who owns a condo in Vancouver, and his strata I can't remember if they didn't give him notice or he just forgot to check the notice or whatever, and they just knocked on his door and they started just cutting holes in his walls because they had to get into the pipes.
Ooh.
And so now he's living with giant holes all throughout his condo and like plastic, and all of his furniture's moved.
Oh man.
And I'm like, that sucks.
Well, and also too, like I think you're going to touch on this, but I mean, you want it to cover your strata deductible. Because if there's a flood in your apartment and it caused damage to the unit below or something like that, there is a deductible that the strata insurance has to pay.
Exactly.
And it can be, $50,000 to $100,000 that you're responsible for. So that's strata insurance is great.
Exactly. Floods, earthquakes, anything with like requires large deductibles, like Jocelyn said, you want to make sure you have that with your condo insurance. And that pretty much wraps it up. Very, very quick little chat about condo insurance.
Talk to your insurance provider and make sure that they are familiar with stratas. Yeah.
And we can always put you in touch with somebody. That's great as well. Now we're doing a neighborhood highlight, Jocelyn.
The most exciting part. I am almost out of Oak Bay. This is my last neighborhood in Oak Bay, I think. I've been in Oak Bay for weeks.
Months, maybe.
Months, actually. Yeah, I don't remember when I wasn't in Oak Bay. I'm doing Henderson today. So Henderson, I don't know. I would say it's the least well-known neighborhood in Oak Bay. Would you guys agree with me?
When you wrote Henderson, I was like, where's Henderson again? So yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. People don't really think of it when they think of Oak Bay, but it's actually a really awesome area. It is super family friendly. It's best known for really good schools. And like I said, really family friendly. There's lots of parks. It goes all the way to kind of like the middle of the university campus as well. Mm-hmm. So it's hugely popular with students, with faculty. And it's more affordable than the rest of Oak Bay as well. I would say the average single family you see, I would like 1.2 now they kind of start at. So quite a bit lower than the rest of Oak Bay, which is nice. Yeah. It is a little bit busier, obviously, but it's a nice place to look if you're wanting to be kind of Oak Bay adjacent. Right. Because you do have access to all those amenities and stuff. For the types of homes, you see mostly a mix of kind of like mid-century homes. There are some definitely more modern stuff going in as well. There is lots of low-rise multifamily buildings, and there's townhouses also. Okay. The pros for it, the proximity to the university, obviously a huge one. Yeah. Proximity to schools, also really big for a lot of families. Oak Bay High is the catchment there, so that's really great for a lot of people kind of looking to be in that area. Yeah, in a more affordable area. Yeah. A lot of families that are wanting their kids to go to those schools, but can't maybe make that jump to South Oak Bay. It's a great spot to look. Okay. It is, lots of parks, lots of green space, lots of pros. Cons, obviously, I have to talk about. It is a little bit denser than the other parts of Oak Bay. The lots are a little bit smaller. There is more traffic. It is kind of that in between like uplands and Oaklands. So a little bit busier as you get closer to downtown. And it is the only part of Oak Bay that doesn't have water access. So
and can we just clarify? Hang on. Yeah. Water access is in ocean. They do have drinking water.
They do have drinking water. Yeah.
I read that. I'm like, wait a second.
No. Water access meaning the ocean. So, I mean, obviously a lot of what makes Oak Bay so prestigious is that it's there's a beach like everywhere you go. Henderson, you don't have access to the ocean, but
you're not far.
Yeah, you could walk, you could bike, and you know what? They have a really great rec center. So, some water there.
Yeah. So in terms of rec center, what other amenities like are included in Henderson? I'm trying to think of like restaurants, coffee shops. Like, is there much?
Not really.
More suburban.
Like, technically in Henderson, I guess there would be that one little grocery store, I think, that used to be, kind of like a delicatessen. I can't remember the name of it.
And then I guess in terms of shopping, the closest you're looking at is like Cedar Hill Cross.
Yeah, but you've also got like everything along Foul Bay there.
Right.
And so there's definitely lots of shopping amenities. And Henderson actually goes all the way down to basically Oak Bay High.
Right.
So you have like all that access to like the Oak Bay Village and stuff in there. So there are a lot of amenities. You do have access to the university campus as well as you get closer up there.
Right.
I think they have a cafeteria. I don't know.
Oh, they do for sure. And then also, I guess you're kind of bordering Uplands Golf Course.
Yeah. Well, it's actually, no, Uplands Golf Course is in Henderson. I don't know how the Uplands feel about this, but
wait a
minute.
Yeah,
Uplands Golf Course is in Henderson. Why isn't it called Henderson Golf Club?
I don't know. You would have to talk to, maybe there was like a big dispute. I'm not quite sure.
That was a branding thing. Strategic.
They didn't have any space in the Uplands because they were, turning it into a heritage site, so they had to borrow from.
Yeah, Uplands has had that better ring to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, there's a lot. I mean, my favorites there, I might butcher the name of this, but the Carnarvon Water Park is...
Carnarvon?
Carnarvon. There we go. Thank you. I knew I was saying it wrong. That water park is awesome, especially, only if you have small kids.
Right. Yeah. If you don't have small kids, you don't want to be going to that water park.
Maybe don't go if you're, middle-aged. But it's a lot of fun if you do have small kids. It's pretty great. And they love it. Also, there's a ton of walking trails around Henderson Park that are really, really nice.
Cool.
Oh, around the golf course there. It's so nice.
So beautiful.
Great little pitch and putt.
Yep. Yeah, pitch and putt.
Oh, yeah. I love that pitch and putt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Henderson, I'm telling you.
Tricky greens, though.
Yeah.
Look out.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jocelyn, for the market updates.
You are so welcome.
We're going to touch on a couple new developments that are coming to Victoria. We have one new townhome development, Grayson by Abstract. This is located in the Uptown neighborhood at 3450 Whittier Avenue. And what's really nice about these townhomes is, 3-bed, 3.5 baths, 1,400 square foot, has a garage, and really central Victoria, starting at $899.
Very reasonable.
Very reasonable. Yeah.
Oh, very reasonable.
For a new townhouse.
That's kind of the thing. Obviously you see the $900K price tag and you're like, oh man, so expensive. But in the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at resale in this area as well, for townhouses that are 10 years old, 15 years old, even 20 years old, you're looking at around the same pricing point. I've seen even some townhomes in this, general area sell for over $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't think that, especially for a small family that's looking for something a bit larger, not crazy, especially if you want something a bit newer and nicer and you're not wanting to have to deal with upgrades or renovations and stuff like that.
Well, and they do look a little bit more like homes as well. They've done a good job on that.
Yeah.
So.
And it's on a nice street actually. They even have some larger units. So they have 4-bed, 2.5 baths, a bit wider units and 1,900 square feet. And those are still under $1 million, I think $979. And then some 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 2-car garages, a bit smaller units. And those are a bit over $1 million just because of obviously the offerings there.
Plus GST.
Everything plus GST. Yeah. The one nice thing with those, though, is no property transfer tax because new build under 1.15.
It's such an important distinction to make because we always think, GST 5%, ooh, scary. Property transfer tax is 2%. So if you're trying to say, okay, what's the difference? It's 3% extra is really what the net cost to you is. So
exactly,
just a nice way to spin it so you don't feel so bad about paying so much tax.
That's right.
Just a nice 3%.
Yeah.
And then we also have a new condo development, Monroe. And this is going to be a big building, 118 units, studio all the way to 3-bedroom units, up to 1,700 square feet units.
That's big. Yeah.
Big units.
Who's the developer on this?
That is a good question, Vince. You're putting me on the spot.
I was just trying to give you like a nice layup. I don't even know.
Here, give me 1 sec. I'm actually going to check. Monroe.
And so this one's located on Souk Road in Langford. One of the other things too that is really cool about this is they have over 6,000 square feet of indoor-outdoor amenities. So fitness facility, everyone's got that. However, they've got co-working spaces, outdoor lounge with barbecues, as well as an indoor kitchen lounge with a pool table. So kind of cool. All the things that you would love to have in a house one day are available today in a pre-sale condo.
So I'm back. My research is done.
Welcome back.
Thank you. The developer is actually based out of Vancouver, and I think they've started to move over to the island to kind of start doing some developments, which actually kind of makes sense because if you look at Vancouver condos and some of the amenities that they offer in these Vancouver condo buildings to entice buyers is crazy. Honestly, it makes me want to live in one of these Vancouver condos. There's some that have basketball courts. They have saunas. They have pools. They have all these crazy amenities. Cold plunges, all this stuff. I'm mostly interested in the basketball courts. Can't wait for one of those to come to Victoria. But it's Land Vision. I don't know if you're familiar, but they're not super, prominent in the Greater Victoria area for development. They're kind of moving over and starting, but obviously have a great track record over in Vancouver. So and then you touched on all the amenities, which is really, really nice. And then they also have a special incentive for our clients.
Act now,
and it's only short. I believe they told us this, a couple weeks ago. So I think it's until the end of October, or maybe until a couple more units sell. But basically, no strata fees for the first year. Free AC upgrade, so heat pump upgrade, and a 0% assignment fee.
Oh, that's super attractive.
That is attractive, right? Because as an investor, one of the main things that you're looking to do with one of these units is obviously hold for the pre-sale, building duration, 2-3 years, whatever that looks like. And then most people have to either pay an assignment fee to flip it to somebody else, or they have to take control, pay land transfer tax, pay all that stuff, and then try to sell it on the open market afterwards. And there's a cost associated with that. So if you're able to just sell the contract with a 0% assignment fee,
that's great.
That's quite attractive for, and I really like that because it's incentivizing money getting put into the development to get it done. And then, obviously if someone wants to pay market value in 2 or 3 years, I don't see anything wrong with that.
And it's not that, you go into that with that as your specific
it's a nice
goal.
Safety net though.
But like we're seeing some developments now that are just getting occupancy and there's some kind of fire sale because they're restricting assignments. So to just have the flexibility, if you're an investor, you just always want to know that there's an escape hatch. So if your situation changes or maybe the construction was delayed, you have a way out and you can do these assignments without getting
even
whacked.
As a buyer, I would say, not just an investor, because life changes 2 to 3 years from when you purchase a condo.
Exactly. And that's one of the big issues with pre-sale, right? Is you're locking in this plan. It could be with a partner. It could be, a job that you have locally. And then in 2 or 3 years, your life could look completely different and maybe it doesn't work anymore. So nice to have that in there.
And that's nice for future proofing. But the other sort of special incentive that I want to circle back to just for a moment is the no strata fees for the first year. The reason this is so attractive to me is when you're buying, especially if you're a first time buyer, your lender is going to look at all of the fees associated with owning that property. So heating, property taxes, and strata fees. If you're able to go to the lender and say, well, hang on a sec, I don't have any strata fees, in theory, it would allow you to qualify for a higher amount because
I wonder if they would be able to do that.
And I don't know if there's maybe they need to do it for 2 years, or maybe you would just do a 1-year fixed mortgage.
Right.
And for the purposes of that mortgage anyways, you would be able to qualify for more. So it just might give someone who's trying to borrow more money a little bit more
power, a bit more flexibility.
Exactly. Yeah. Double check with your mortgage broker.
Awesome. And lastly, Vince.
Stats with Vince.
Statistics. Here we go. September 2024. That's the last full month for which we have statistics to draw from. I'm always comparing, and you hear this we're 24 episodes in here, 23, 24, I don't know, I'm losing count. I talk about it every time.
You sound tired.
I know, yeah. Every time I do these stats, the stat to keep an eye on is how is the market doing year over year? I don't care what happened in August when I'm looking at September because let's face it, we're a government town.
The market changes.
Everyone's on vacation in August.
That's right.
So how does the market change year over year? And that's really, I think, the number to be paying attention to. So year over year, September of 23 versus September of 24, we had 16% more sales this year. And that leads us to kind of more of a stable market. For context, and for those who haven't been tuning in, 2023 was one of the worst years that we've seen for market volume. So that's the number of transactions happening. 23 was one of the worst we've had in a decade. 24 is shaping up to have way more inventory. So the other number to keep track of is how many active listings do we have? And as of the end of September, we had over 3,300 active listings, which represents an increase of 24% year over year.
Wow.
So you might say, oh my gosh, that's terrible. The market's going to crash. I'm going to disagree with that. it's really, really difficult to have a balanced market when there's not enough inventory. Mm-hmm. And right now, we're seeing a nice, well-rounded amount of inventory. It's taking a normal amount of time to sell a property. You will not expect to sell in less than 30 days unless Jocelyn Cseff is your listing agent.
Right.
And it's a normal market. So I really like seeing that number. We're up 24% over last year. We have selection. It means that if you're a buyer, you can actually think about your decision before jumping headfirst. Unless you're competing against Jocelyn Cseff as your...
Say that 10 times fast.
Unless you're competing against Jocelyn Cseff as the listing agent.
Oh, it's a big Jocelyn episode.
I know, yeah.
I'm just tuning my own horn on.
But I think that's it. The market, the other thing that we're noticing is we always say that there's a fall market or a second spring market that usually kicks off after the kids are back in school. I didn't notice that this year in early September. I really noticed, now this is all anecdotally, but I really noticed my business picked up towards the end of September. Mm-hmm. And now as we're, in the middle of October, towards the end of October here, the market is still trucking along. So my feeling is that just like when COVID hit, there was sort of a delay to that year's spring market because, we were all going to die. Now there's a bit of a delay. I think it's because we were waiting for those interest rate announcements. And of course, as Adrian mentioned, we had that big drop that happened. So now we've got, 3 or 4 drops in a row that have happened. I think now, we're seeing that kind of late second spring or that late fall market. And I expect it will probably carry into even after Halloween. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of a delayed fall market. So great for buyers, great for sellers. I would say probably for the next month, 5 or 6 weeks. And then I would say then we're going to see a drop off towards winter as we normally do.
Yeah. And then with winter, obviously inventory maybe drops a little bit, less people listing.
Yeah.
But if you can find something in the market during that time, it might be the best time of the year to purchase.
I mean, we always say this, and I know people are hard on us because we're realtors and, we're
banging the same drum. We only have so many drums we can bang on. Yeah.
But the best months to buy are January, February, March, April. No,
I mean, we do see though, like the best value that I have ever seen my buyers get have been in either January, February, or August. Those are like the 3 months. Yeah. Where it seems like the sellers that have, like they are listing, they need to list.
That's it. You're not selling in the dead of winter for fun.
No.
That's the thing. If you're working with any realtor, they're going to be like, hey, let's wait till the spring if you're flexible.
Yeah.
But if they are not flexible, which means they have to sell or they need to sell, they're going to list in December 2nd and
December 23rd.
December 23rd. And those are the properties that you're going to want to potentially keep an eye out for because people are going to be motivated to sell. And there's going to be less buyers you're competing with during that time.
Yeah, we're giving away a lot of secrets on this episode.
Yeah. Keep them to yourself. All right. I think that wraps it up, guys.
That's a good spot to wrap it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for listening to the YYJ Real Estate Podcast produced by the City Nest team. We have had some fantastic reviews and we love them. So please leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you are listening. We also really appreciate you guys sharing the podcast with friends and family. Otherwise, Vince, Jocelyn, how can people get in touch?
Email vincent@citynest.ca.
You can call me 604-907-2074.
Awesome. And you can reach out to me, Adrian, at 250-464-4122 or on Instagram at Adrian Real Estate Victoria. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.